MovieWeb.com.
Can you kind of tell me about your character and exactly what the costume is you're wearing?
This is a Renaissance. My character's Nick. He's a very immature young man who creates this facade to impress the people he meets on the internet. And I kind of took him in and created this backstory for him, just as a place to go throughout the film. Of he's that guy in high school that was somewhat socially inept, and goes home after school and sits in his basement and tries to meet friends on the internet because he can't make them anywhere else, and pretends to be these people that other people want him to be, that he thinks is cool or whatnot. And he meets a girl named Kayla, which is plays my girlfriend in the movie, who we end up meeting for the first time and going on this road trip. And it's interesting because he comes off as this rock star badass, who doesn't give a crap about anybody else, and says what he says, and there's no apologies for it, and and then makes that transition back as things become more and more intense, and he slowly sheds the facade, and you get to see his true colors, and it's very cool transition throughout the movie.
Well, you mentioned earlier that he's a closet internet fan.
Yeah.
Now, does that come into play at any time during the film? Like, you use the internet to kind of beat the...
No. It's more or less this is just where I wanted to create that character, and I needed to give him some history in my head to figure out how to make that transition in the movie, and it just made the most sense to me through the people that I've met throughout my life, and family members or whatnot, and drawing from that, and finding that part of his character and making it as real and as possible.
Now, how do you come in contact with Rusty Nail
for the first time? He contacts us on a CB radio that's installed in a car that we've stolen from his property, and he kidnaps one of the characters in the movie, Bobby, and we've invaded his privacy and his property and stolen from him, and in return he's kidnapped one of our friends and starts demanding outrageous things, and it's a joyride from there.
Now, did you guys get to have your own cool CB handle in the film?
I use a CB once in the film. Melissa's boyfriend, Bobby, is the person who gets kidnapped, and that's where you have very, very strong actor, strong woman, Nikki Acox, playing this woman at her wit's end who's stepping up to the plate and taking control of the scenes and taking control of the situation, and whereas my character, being antisocial and a big phony, starts to shed his own Mr. Dress Up, and you start to see his true colors.
Well, we see the truck in the background here. I'm wondering, do you and the truck have any scenes together?
Yeah, we've got a few scenes together. I get to meet Rusty Nail face to face. I get to I have a bunch of scenes with him. I suppose you could say I have a bunch of scenes with the truck. As you can see, it's all black. It's somewhat intimidating, and I don't know if you've ever driven across the states or done a bunch of night driving, but when you see a transport truck barreling up behind you, your heart beats a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there a chance you get to drive the truck?
I don't get to drive the truck. That'd be pretty cool, but Nikki does.
Now, have you had a scene that you've just loved, that you've shot already, that you love doing?
I guess there's been two, and I think I like them so much because they're completely different and they contrast each other so well. One's a very funny scene that takes place in the diner, where I go off on truckers and how they're gacked out speed freaks whose only hope for companionship is a disease-ridden hooker, and I stand up in the middle of a truck stop, rest stop in a restaurant, and say that very much out loud. to a bunch of patrons sitting in this restaurant who are all truckers, and it's very cool, and it's very, like, oh, crap, what's exactly going to happen here? And then there's a torture scene at the end where, you have this kid who's probably left town, small town, for the first time in his life, who's on this adventure and pretending to be this something he's not, who's lost it, and he knows he's going to die, and it's very real, and it's very intense, and just the two are so different. I think it's very cool.
Now, have you been involved personally in a lot of the car chases?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of shots in the car. We have a lot of scenes in the car. We have a lot of, we're trying to figure out where Rusty is, and we have all these different stop-offs and everything. And shooting in a car is actually pretty interesting. It's not hard to do. It's different from being stuck in a box and driving up and down streets a million times, and matching continuity to the backgrounds and everything else. But yeah, no supercar chases. I know. Mullis and Kayla have got one of the coolest ones that ends in a very exciting way. So that'll be cool.
Okay, great. Well, that's